In July, PSG have completed the signing of Georginio Wijnaldum. The 30-year-old had his Liverpool contract expired this summer, and everyone thought he'd join Barcelona. But former Netherlands coach Frank de Boer didn't let him go to Spain for medical. A few days later, news broke that the midfielder had joined PSG. The Dutchman is going to earn 10 million euros per year in Paris, twice as much as Barca was ready to pay. Wijnaldum was going to be one of the leaders in the midfield in Catalonia, while in PSG his role is not clear because of huge competition. In this video, we'll talk about the players who choose money over career but ended up with nothing. But first, answer the question, which one of these PSG players were Barcelona trying to sign back in the summer of 2017? Write your answers in the comments down below. Alex Song. When he was 24, Song was considered one of the most promising midfielders in Europe. Alex was inspired by Michael Essien, but he grew not only into a midfield destructor, but a creator. Song was a combination of power, passion, and fascinating technique. In his final season at Arsenal, he provided 11 assists in the Premier League. But his contract was coming to an end, and Barcelona was looking for a proper partner for Sergio Busquets to replace Yaya Touré. Alex knew he wasn't going to be a first-team player, but he agreed. Here's what he said later. When Barcelona offered me a contract and I saw how much I would earn, I didn't think twice about it. I thought my wife and children should have a comfortable life. I met the sporting director and he said I wouldn't play much games, but I didn't care. I knew I was going to be a millionaire. Song played only a few games in his 2 seasons, scoring just 1. Soon he went on loan to West Ham and eventually joined Rubin Kazan as a free agent. In Russia, Alex complained about salary delays. By 32, he moved to the Djibouti Premier League. But a player of his talent could have easily played for a top-flight club to this day. Kevin Karani. We don't cover Samuel adventures in Russia in this video because he had won everything in Europe a year before that. And after his spell at Anji, he spent a pretty decent season at Chelsea. So Ito's got both glory and money. But Kevin Karani's transfer to Dynamo Moscow is a different story. In the summer of 2010, Kevin's contract with Schalke was coming to an end. He scored 18 Bundesliga goals to become the 4th top scorer of the previous season. Juventus and Man United showed interest in Kevin, but the player chose the generous offer from Dynamo Moscow. An annual salary of 6 million euros may seem not that impressive today, but back then it was pretty big money. In all fairness, Karani did earn his pay. He scored constantly, setting an example for youngsters Smolov and Kokorin. Anyway, the Russian fans still warmly remember the German. Emmanuel Adebayor. Adebayor is another African player who's been sensational in his early days in the Premier League but failed to become a world-class star. It came to the notice of Arsene Wenger during his stay at Monaco. Adebayor had pace, power, technique, and ability in the penalty area. An ideal forward. That's why no one was surprised by his dramatic progress and goal scoring. Emmanuel has scored 30 goals in 48 matches in the 2007-2008 season. However, money was more important for Adebayor as he accepted Man City's offer. The player's wage increased twice, and the Arsenal fans label him a traitor. The last straw was his goal against the Gunners, after which Adebayor ran the length of the pitch to face the London fans. This was one of the most provocative celebrations in the history of the Premier League. Soon, Adebayor's career began its decline as he scored only 18 goals in 2 seasons. Later, he tried to find his best form but ended up in Paraguay. After his departure from Arsenal, Adebayor won only 1 trophy, the Copa del Rey with Real Madrid, where he spent 6 months on loan. Hulk. One of the brightest players to have ever played in Russia, Hulk was a perfect solution for Zenit. By 26, the Brazilian had become a star in Portugal and was preparing for a move to a top club, but he surprisingly moved to Russia, as in one night Zenit blew up the market, spending 100 million euros on him and Witsel. The latter had subsequently moved to Bundesliga, whereas Hulk hasn't appeared in any decent league, though he was capable of doing it, and in astonishing goals prove that. I joined Zenit because of money. The club is progressing, and in a couple of years Zenit will become one of the best clubs in the world, he said. Despite being constantly linked with Chelsea and Man City, the Brazilian played in Russia till 30, before he went on to earn even bigger money in China. In Shanghai, his wage was 20 million euros per season, which is fairly enough to provide dignity in retirement. Play, live and relax. Brazilian way of life in a nutshell. Nowadays, there's another high-paid Brazilian at Zenit. A few years ago, Barcelona poached Malcolm from Roma, and now he's struggling to become a star in Russia. Asamoah. You may remember him from the 2010 World Cup in South Africa. The Ghanaian became one of the revelations of that tournament and moved to the Premier League afterwards. But surprisingly, the striker went to earn money in the UAE after 1 year at Sunderland. Here's what Steve Bruce said about the transfer. He shook me by the hand and said he wanted to stay. Then, within 48 hours, he's manufacturing a move to the UAE. I'll let people make their own conclusions with that, but it baffles me how he can leave the best league in the world to go and play on the other side of the world. No disrespect to Abu Dhabi or whatever, he's gone, but I find that really baffling. At 26 years of age, Asamoah preferred money to one of the best leagues in the world. Later on, he played in China, India and Turkey. He's 35 now and is playing in the Ghanaian Premier League. Radamel Falcao. Falcao's career isn't a failure. He was stunning at Porto and Atletico and tried his luck in the Premier League twice, playing for Chelsea and Man United. However, El Tigre's career could have been much more impressive. Porto is a magic place for South American forwards. There, unknown talented boys become real stars, and Falcao was a great example of this. In his last 2 seasons in Portugal, the Colombian scored 72 goals in 85 games, and at the age of 25, he moved to Atletico. He upgraded under Diego Simeone and netted 70 goals in 2 seasons. At that moment, only Messi and Ronaldo had scored more in Europe. Surprisingly, he decided to move to Monaco. There, Falcao was paid 16 million euros yearly, and Radamel was earning money fairly, scoring a lot of goals. But his loan spells at Chelsea and Man United proved that the forward came to Monaco only for money, putting aside his ambitions. Sadly, in a few years, a goal machine turned into your average high-paid player. David Beckham. Beckham was already 32 at the time he left Real Madrid to cross the ocean, but his set pieces and long passes were world class. In 2007, David signed for Los Angeles Galaxy on a 5-year deal worth a total of $250 million. MLS wasn't as big as today back then, and only stars who were not good enough for Europe anymore moved there. Beckham was an exception as he easily went on a loan to AC Milan and signed for PSG where he performed decently. He should have played in the 2010 World Cup, but the ACL changed his plans. However, Beckham doesn't regret his decision as his transfer to Galaxy earned him a whopping sum, helped him build a huge media empire, signed a bunch of multi-million contracts, and prove himself as one of the most popular people alive. Oscar. Moving to China in the pursuit of money was a normal thing in the mid-2010s, but Oscar's transfer from Chelsea to Shanghai stood out. At 25, Oscar was a first-team player in Chelsea and Brazil. He was called Next Kaká and the leader of the national team at the 2018 World Cup. All of a sudden, Oscar focused on money. In the winter of 2017, he moved to China for 70 million euros and signed a multi-year contract worth 25 million euros per season. Since that moment, the talented playmaker's career was buried under a money tombstone, though he doesn't really regret it. I don't care if I go to the World Cup or no, I'm only criticized for coming to China. I personally think of my family and my future. I don't want to get poor when I'm old, and I live on memories that I played in the World Cup. There are only a few players that made it on our list. Football history holds a lot of doubtful transfers when footballers choose money over career. Who else can complete the list? Leave your comments as we're interested to recall them all.